Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, my name is Andrea and I love eyeshadow palettes. They are one of my favorite things to try and purchase and just use. And whenever I sit down to do my eyeshadow, I get so excited just thinking about what type of look I'm going to do that day. I've kind of taken a step back from berry tones because I've really been reaching for a lot of greens and blues and just neutrals. But I've kind of gotten back into berry tones recently because I've just been going through my eyeshadow palette collection and trying to reach into palettes that are kind of like forgotten favorites, and like the pinks and purples are just drawing me back in. So in today's video, I thought I would share a bunch of berry toned eyeshadow palettes with you. I will give you like the price information, do swatches, give you like a little review, but just kind of let you know if I think it will work for you if you're into like super intense vibrant berries or more muted subtle berries, or if you like a half neutral, half berry toned palette. The reality is that a lot of palettes these days are like half neutral, half colorful. So the majority of the palettes that I have to share with you guys aren't like full of pinks and purples, but when I look at them, I get more of like an overall berry vibe. But if you guys have a favorite palette that's like very like pink or purple or berry themed, I would love to hear from you in the comment section below. I'm sure there are palettes out there that I'm kind of missing, but in the meantime, I thought I would just give you a rundown on some of the best berry palettes that I have in my collection. So the palette that kind of inspired this video is the Adama Cosmetics Berries and Cream palette. This is somewhat new to my collection. I purchased it right at the beginning of January, and it's a really gorgeous palette. This one retails for $44. So this one is a Sephora exclusive, and it's a really gorgeous palette. It comes with 12 different shadows. I would say about 4 to 5 of these are what I would consider like true berry tones, and the rest are neutral, but they actually complement berry tones really, really well. I think that this one is going to be great for you if you are mainly a cool toned eyeshadow fan. You do get a mix, but in general, this whole palette leans a little bit more cool toned. But a lot of times with these types of palettes, they're half neutral, half colorful, but the neutral tones are very warm toned, and even like the berry shades are very warm toned. So in general, you get a very, very warm look on the eyes. But the reason why I like this one is because all of the complementary neutral colors tend to be a little bit more cool toned. So I would say if you like cooler tone shadows, but you still like some colorful shades, this one is going to be a great option for you. You can get so many different looks using this palette, and the formula is so high quality. It's such a good formula. The mattes are extremely blendable, and the metallic shades are very soft and buttery. And when you break this one down price per gram, it is the least expensive out of all of the products that I'm going to mention, which is kind of crazy because the formula really is one of the best. The next palette that I want to mention is something that I think is a little bit underrated. It is the Too Faced Tutti Frutti Razzle Dazzle Berry Eyeshadow Palette. Such a long name. It retails for $34, and this one's actually an Ulta Beauty exclusive. When you break this one down, price per gram, it's actually the most expensive, so just keep that in mind. It's significantly more expensive than a lot of the other palettes. The packaging on this palette is really beautiful. It is berry scented, so again, if you are very sensitive to scents, I might skip over this one. I really would skip over this one because it really is so strongly scented. Even though there are only 7 shadows, there's so much going on in this palette. There are like matte shadows, mattes with glitter, metallic shadows, metallics with glitter. Some of the metallics are more of like a cream to powder finish, and some are just like a true powder finish. It's not like you just get a matte and shimmer palette. There's just so much going on, so you can create so many different looks. And a lot of the berry or colorful shades in here are very vibrant, so you tend to get a little bit more of a dramatic or intense look. You can go in with some of the lighter shades to get more of a subtle look, which is a nice touch. But in general, when I reach for this palette, I love like these darker, deep shades. And again, because there is so much going on in this palette in terms of like colors and finishes, I just think it's a fun palette to use. You can get a lot of different creative looks. Now, if you tend to be more subdued with your eyeshadows, or you prefer a lot of neutrals in your palette, this isn't going to be the one for you. But if you just want like a fun, colorful palette that's small and compact, this one's a great option. Now, if you're into more subtle pink and purple tones, I do have another smaller palette that would work well for you. This one is the Dose of Colors Marvelous Mauves palette. This one retails for $32 each. You can get it at Ulta Beauty or of course on the Dose of Colors website. And this one comes with 5 different shadows. Sometimes it's nice to have a lot of options, but sometimes honestly it's nice to have a smaller palette because you're not overwhelmed by so many choices, and all of the colors in this palette go so well together. Whether you're going for more of like a soft subtle look or a dark dramatic look, you can definitely get a very seamless look using this palette and the 5 shadows in here. Now, they do have a palette that's actually called the Blushing Berries Berries palette, which has more like vibrant, intense berries. So that might be a good option for you. I don't have that palette. I actually purchased it for my mom for Christmas and she loves it. So I'm kind of considering grabbing it because I have been enjoying this formula lately. It's a very, very powdery formula. So if you do not like powdery eyeshadows, you're definitely going to want to skip over this one. But because it is so powdery, I find that it's so super blendable, which I think makes it really nice if you just want a quick, easy eye look, because the shades blend so easily and so seamlessly, especially because it's just coordinated so well in terms of color. This just makes purples and pinks a little bit less intimidating and a little bit more wearable for people who typically wear very subtle eyeshadow or very neutral tones. So I just wanted to throw it out there. It's very easy to work with. It's non-intimidating. You do get a brush, which is a nice touch, and I really enjoy this one. So I had to include it in today's video. So technically a cherry is not a berry, but I do find that the Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette has berry tones in it. This retails for $49, and this palette is a little bit neglected in my collection, which is weird. I hate that it is because I used it today and I love it. But again, when I reach for like pinks and purples, I usually want a pretty vibrant look, and I kind of think this palette makes those shades, again, a little bit more wearable. So you can actually get this one at Sephora or Ulta, and then of course on the Urban Decay website. It comes with 12 different shadows, and you do get a dual-ended brush. But if you're familiar with the Naked palettes and you enjoy that formula overall, I do think you would enjoy this one. The metallic shadows are pretty on the eyes, but they're not so intense that they're intimidating, and the matte shadows blend out really easily, again, without being overly pigmented. The thing about this palette is that you can get a really light, subtle look if you go into the first half, or a little bit more of a dramatic, deep look with the second half, which is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. In general, when I reach for this palette, I tend to reach for these shades, and then I might use these as like highlight or transition shades, but I love these tones in the palette. I think if they added like a black cherry shade, that would have been so nice because that would have just made the look, it would have elevated the look to make it a little bit more dramatic, but you know, I don't think the Naked palettes are necessarily meant to be the most dramatic palettes on the market, so I do think it is a good option if you like shades like this. The next palette that I want to mention, again, is like half neutral, half colorful, but the colorful shades are very muted. So this is going to be a good option for you if you're pretty intimidated by really vibrant colors. This is the Tarte Love, Trust, and Fairy Dust eyeshadow palette. It retails for $39, and this is available at Sephora. They said it was limited edition, but I got mine a long time ago and it's still available. So if you're interested in grabbing it, you can still get it. This palette comes with 10 different shadows, and then the center shade is technically a highlight, but you could use it as an eyeshadow as well. Again, similar to the Dose of Colors palette, I think this one is going to be great for those of you that tend to prefer neutral colors, but want to incorporate more muted berries into your eye look. Most of the berry tones in here are very muted, with the exception of like that vibrant pink right on top. So in general, you're going to get a little bit more of what most people would call a wearable look, and you can even incorporate some of those neutrals to get more of a toned down, muted berry look. And the shades in here are a little bit more cool toned. There are a couple of warm shades, but in general, it's very toned down compared to some of the super warm palettes on the market. So if you're over really vibrant, warm tones, this might be a great option for you as well. I will say the packaging is not reflective of the eyeshadows inside. Just keep that in mind. You're not going to open it up and find like super intense, vibrant pinks and purples, but I do think it's a good everyday palette. The formula is good. The matte shadows are blendable and smooth, and the metallic shadows are nice because they're not so intense. I love really intense, like pigmented, saturated metallic shadows, but I know not everybody feels that way. So if you like something that's just going to add a little bit of shine and look really pretty on the eyes, this might be the option for you. The last palette that I wanted to mention is kind of like a bonus palette because I really was trying to focus on palettes that gave me like an overall berry vibe. And I don't know that this one really does, but when you Google berry toned palettes, or when you think of berry toned palettes, a lot of times this one does pop into your mind, at least me personally. So this one, of course, is the Anastasia Modern Renaissance eyeshadow palette. This one retails for $42. You can find this one at Sephora or Ulta, and I'm sure by now a lot of you guys, if not all of you, have seen this palette before, but it comes with 14 different shadows. I would say about 4 of them are berry toned and the rest are pretty neutral. So, you know, 4 out of 14 isn't really that high of a ratio, but at the same time, the vibrant colors are, I'm trying to avoid using the word berry so much, but it's so hard. We're just gonna use it. The berry tones in here are very vibrant. So I feel like those are the really obvious standout colors in the palette and they're so beautiful. So when I do think of like pinks and reds and berries, this is a palette that always comes to mind. So this one is going to be a great option for those of you that like the Anastasia formula. It really has been one of my favorite formulas over the past year. The matte shadows are just so blendable. They're a little bit powdery, but they just blend out so beautifully on the eyes. This one's going to be a nice option if you like neutrals, but a lot of the palettes that I mentioned that are like half neutral, half berry, the neutral colors are very toned down, but the neutrals in here are pretty vibrant. You do get like some really very warm shadows like these two over here. You also get an orange, you get a deep brown, you get a bunch of different colors in here, so you can create so many different looks. So if you like neutrals, but you do want to add like a couple of fun, vibrant berries to your collection, you would definitely get a lot of use out of this palette. It's just a fun palette to use. It's very easy to work with, and you can create so many different looks. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful if you were just looking for a new palette or you just wanted to see some swatches or hear a breakdown or some mini reviews, but I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to watch my video. I film a bunch of eyeshadow palette videos, so I will put the playlist for you guys on the screen if you want to check it out, but make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos, and I'll see you guys very soon with a new video. Bye.